In this video, I'm going to talk about three things: the problems with well mods and ability cooldowns in general, the best ways to use well mods, and the disappointments. We're going to start off with the problems, and one of those is that Bungie is being a little bit too careful with them. And you can see that from when they first introduced the Elemental Ordnance mod, Font of Might, Font of Wisdom, some of these back in Season of the Chosen. The buffs from Wisdom and Might, they only lasted for a couple seconds and nobody ended up using them. But fortunately, this past season, they buffed them a little bit. They gave them more time on each of those buffs. And since then, you know, we've been using them a little bit more, and that's kind of nice. So maybe they'll give us some more buffs on some of these newer mods, but we'll see. I understand that Bungie doesn't want to make things that are so incredibly powerful that they defeat the purpose of other choices in the game, but it's just sad when there's so much cool potential in some of these mods, and yet they continue to disappoint me the more I look into them. And I've looked into all of them at this point, but we'll get to that later in the video. On a base level, Elemental Wells grant your least charged ability a small amount of energy. But if it matches your subclass, it grants that much energy to all three abilities. Now, overall, that really isn't worth anything, because not very often are we instantly using an ability the second that it is recharged, which is also why armor stats for abilities don't really matter that much either. Because as long as you have tier 5 of those abilities, which is really easy to get, you will feel like you have your abilities just about as often as if you had tier 10. Especially since the gains at the higher tiers are diminishing. Now, another problem with elemental well mods is that in order to make good use of the wells that you create, you need to commit 4 to 5 mod slots on them. And most of the time, the effect is not that incredible. Like, it's like, oh, this is okay. I can see that it's doing something. But you're using literally 4 or 5 of your mod slots, and you're barely seeing anything. You could get similar or stronger effects from Charged with Light mods and be only using a couple of slots. Here is the most simple example. You could run the Protective Light mod or any other Charged with Light mod and run Taking Charge, and as long as you have some masterworked weapons that can make orbs for you, you will constantly be charged with light and have ways to use those charges, and you committed 2 slots to that. You could use the same Charged with Light mod and run Elemental Charge that allows you to become charged with light by picking up elemental wells, but then you would also need to run a well mod that lets you make those wells for you to pick up. So you're literally using an extra slot to basically do the same thing, or you're relying on your teammates making the wells for you, which you should not be doing. I tried to make some really cool all-in elemental well builds that sounded cool on paper. Literally on paper, because that's literally what I did. I wrote them on paper. But it turns out most of the mods are so limited in how they grant their benefits, and Bungie is so safe with the benefits that they're giving, that it's just disappointing. The Well of Ions mod is a great example of this because it gives your next melee bonus damage, but you only have a few seconds to try to use that. So don't even try to set up some type of cool 1-2 punch, destroy a chunky boy combo type thing, unless you literally want to make Destiny a fumbling balancing act of frustration. More disappointing combos coming later in this video. Now, let's talk about some of the best ways that you can use these mods. The first one is to press the like button on this video if you're liking this video. That would be sweet. The next is going to be pretty simple, yet it is actually probably the best and easiest way to use any of these mods, and that is going to be Elemental Ordnance and Font of Wisdom. Literally just those two. These two mods mirror the simplicity of the older Warmind Cell mods. We used to just slap on a global reach mod and an Aikilos weapon, and we would instantly have some significant power granted to us. And with Elemental Ordnance and Font of Wisdom, we're getting a less flashier version of that power. This 2-mod combo works together regardless of anything else that we have going on in our build. It doesn't matter what our subclass is or what weapons we're using. Ordnance creates a well that matches our subclass when we get a grenade kill, and Wisdom grants us 30 seconds of 100 intellect when we pick up a well that matches our subclass, which we will be because we'll be using a grenade that matches our subclass because we don't have any other choice. These 2 mods alone would allow us to completely disregard our intellect stat on our armor and instead go all in on discipline and strength. And if your discipline is high enough, then you just can keep getting another grenade kill every 30 seconds and keep having this passive 100 intellect. The other thing is these 2 mods are just generic. They don't care what element your armor is or anything, so easy peasy. The next is similar, and I'm pretty sure Datto mentions this in his recent Elemental Well video as well, is Overcharge Well Maker. This, in combination with Elemental Charge and whatever Charge with Light mod that you want to use, is really reliable. Overcharge is an arc mod that lets you create 2 arc wells whenever you get a finisher. Well, not whenever you get a finisher, but because you can't just spam your finisher over and over again because Bungie doesn't want you to make a million elemental wells. But basically, you know, every 10-ish or so seconds you can use a finisher and you'll get some arc elemental wells. If you've got elemental charge on, you're going to be able to become charged with light, and then you're going to be able to use some other charged with light mods that can spend that for you. Some of my favorites would be Protective Light, Argent Ordnance, Lucent Blade, and Energy Converter. Lucent Blade or Protective Light would probably be the best to pair with this, especially if you're fighting champions, because you'll probably end up finishing the champion and then you'll be charged with light again. Another really great way for using some of these elemental well mods is elemental shards and Well of Restoration. You'll need to have full stasis armor, like literally 5 pieces of stasis armor if you want to do this. Because you see, these 2 make it so that the stasis shards count as stasis elemental wells for you. So if you're using some stasis fragments or aspects that are creating stasis shards for you, then they'll also just be elemental wells for you. And Well of Restoration says that when you pick up stasis elemental wells, it grants you additional energy for your ability that has the lowest energy, and multiple copies of this mod stack. So you can use 4 Well of Restoration, 1 elemental shards, and then you don't even have to do anything else other than have something in your stasis subclass that makes the shards for you. And this can give you tons of stasis energy. And if there's one thing we know, stasis abilities are some of the strongest ones in the game. Now, an alternative to this combo would be to use the Bountiful Wells mod with 3 elemental armaments mods and a single Well of Restoration mod. But you would also need to use a stasis weapon such as Ager's Scepter or Vulpecula or Fractithist or whatever stasis weapons we get in the future. And this Bountiful Wells mod will make it rain 4 stasis wells every few kills you get with that weapon. And it actually gives you so much stasis energy that you often can't spend your abilities fast enough. And I'm pretty sure this is another thing that Datto mentioned in his video too. But yeah, he was just, he was faster at making this video because, he's doing this full time. All right. Now, this is when I'm going to bridge the gap between the good and the disappointing. And that comes right into elemental time dilation. This mod says that elemental wells that grant you time-limited benefits can now stack, increasing the duration of the effect for each copy of the mod that you have equipped. Now, this mod is actually really good But like I mentioned before, Bungie is making us work hard for these benefits. What time dilation is really saying is, hey, I am going to use up one of your mod slots so that you can use up other mod slots to increase the time limited benefits of mods that are even in another different slot. What this means is that mods... what this means is this mod wants you to go all in on one time limited benefit, such as Font of Might or Font of Wisdom or Well of Tenacity. More on Well of Tenacity in a little bit. It wants you to use 3 of that mod and 1 Well Generation mod, as well as itself, so that you can get a few more seconds of benefits. And that's using up all 5 of your slots. So you're not doing anything else. That's it. So it better be really good. And there are some niche builds out there that actually can use this, and it's good. It's pretty good. But man, when I saw this, I was a little excited. I was like, oh dang. What if I got, what if I had a way to, I use 2 Font of Might and I use 2 Font of Wisdom, or maybe I use 2 Font of Might and 2 Well of Tenacities or something. But guess what? Then you don't have a way to make wells, because if I'm using 2 of this and 2 of this, and I'm using the dilation so that I can even do that, that's 5 mods. I have no way of making them now. I have to just rely on my teammates making them for me or something. Now, stepping all the way into the disappointment, unfortunately there aren't many ways to use these mods for endgame content. And that's really where most of the disappointment is, because you can actually get some good casual use out of most of these mods in just normal strikes or in seasonal activities or in Gambit, I suppose. But for GM, Nightfalls, or raids, they're not really going to do much. They're too restrictive, too high of a commitment cost for too little of a benefit in most of those scenarios. For me, the most disappointing mod was Well of Tenacity, because when you read it, for example, it says picking up a Void Elemental Well reduces the damage you take from combatants for a short period of time. Now keep in mind, this mod is already restricting you to only Void Elemental Wells. Like, you have to make a Void Elemental Well to get this benefit. Now, you can make Void Wells reliably on any class with Reaping Wellmaker by just simply using your class ability, and then your next weapon, Final Blow, will generate a Void Elemental Well. So then you can use Well of Tenacity on any class, but it's basically forcing you to do this or be on a Void class, and then you can use some other ways of making them. But the true disappointment is in this mod itself, because Well of Tenacity gives you literally 5 seconds of resistance. 5 seconds of damage resist. You have to go and run out and grab your Void Elemental Well, unless you're using Seeking Wells, which only gives, like, I don't even know, is it like 15 meters? It's not very far, where the mod will just drag across the floor to you, unless there's like some type of object in the way, which it might not even make its way to you. To get 5 seconds of resist, what am I gonna do with that 5 seconds of resist? In a GM, what am I gonna do with 5 seconds of resist? Am I gonna count on the Hobgoblin Sniper sniping me during that 5 seconds? And this is the other thing, is I was like, no. We're going to build into this. We're going to use Reaping Wellmaker. We're going to use Well of Tenacity ×3, because we're going to use Elemental Time Dilation. I want that damage resist to be maxed out, because I still need a way to make them. But I want more time. I want more time on Tenacity. Guess what? With Well of Tenacity, you literally get 15 seconds of resist. Do you know what else gives you 15 seconds of resist, but actually gives you 2x resist? Gives you double the resist? Literally just be a warlock with the stag helmet on, and you get 15 seconds of x2 resist for you and any of your teammates that go in there. They don't have to have stag on. They don't have to be warlocks. And they don't have to have 5 mods equipped to do that. Oh, it just makes me so sad. Oh, I'm so sad. I literally had my teammates go into a GM with me and I was like, hey, let's test this out. You guys put a Tenacity mod on, okay? I'll make them. I'll make the Void Wells and you can... No. It did not work. Did not work at all. Because the wells are only out there for a limited time too. And sure, you could use enduring wells to increase the lifespan of the wells that are on the floor so that you could eventually get them. But that's still not even enough time. And that's still another mod that you'd have to equip. Like, I would seriously have to, if I'm trying to be a support teammate or something, I'm trying to use Reaping Wellmaker, so I'm going to make some wells. I'm going to use Seeking Wells, so that the wells that I create move to my teammates. And let's say I'm going to use Enduring Wells so that they last longer on the floor. That's 3 freaking mods. And guess what my teammates are going to get? They're going to get 5 seconds of resist. They're probably not even going to know, because it's gonna be seeking itself to them. They're not even going to know they have those 5 seconds of resist, or even how to take advantage of those 5 seconds. Oh, okay. Anyways, I'm gonna stop rambling right there. Ultimately, I enjoy elemental wells, but I just wish they weren't as restrictive as they are, and maybe some of the new ones could get a buff, a small buff, like Font of Might and Font of Wisdom got. Please give Well of Tenacity a buff. Like, seriously, if I'm stacking 3 Well of Tenacities, can I have 30 seconds, please? Like 30 seconds of damage resist. I don't think that's crazy. I don't know. Maybe it is crazy. Maybe it's too powerful and all the hunters would suddenly become PvE gods because they'd be able to dodge and have permanent damage resist for the rest of the GM or something. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to matter. But anyways, don't forget, you can ignore your intellect stat with 1 Elemental Ordnance mod and 1 Font of Wisdom mod. Those 2 in combination, any armor piece, any subclass, you're going to have 100 intellect, and that's probably honestly the best thing the elemental wells have to offer us. I promise. I'm not trying to talk crap on elemental wells. I know that there's some builds out there that you can go all in, and they're pretty cute. They do some cute things, and yeah, sure, I like them. You can do the stasis stuff, have lots of stasis ability energy. Sure, that's pretty cool. But that's about it. There's lots of cool stuff in here that I wish we could get some more use out of, that would be stronger. Especially, spending 5 mods to do so. Okay, I'm done. That's it. The video's over. Thanks for watching.